Welcome back, vinyl fans. For this week's episode, we wanted to focus on a new product for VPI record cleaning machines. There's a lot of them out there, and VPI has recently come out with a new type of wand. Here's what it looks like. As you can see, compared to the traditional wand, it's opaque, it's black in color, and it's made of a plastic called Delrin. Now, Delrin is just a product name from DuPont, I believe. But what it really is a polyoxymethylene, which is a synthetic polymer that, compared to traditional plastics, is stiffer. It has more structural stability. It's supposed to be more durable, which is important because you do get a lot of these can crack and break over time if you're not careful with them. We have a good storage solution, though, so that doesn't happen. But a lot of guys have experienced breakage with these wands, so this should be less likely to happen with the Delrin wand. It also has a lower friction point, but I'm not sure that matters because the record itself is on the velvet lips that are adhered to the wand on either side of the opening. We wanted to try this for you, though, because frankly, this new wand is rather expensive. The traditional wand goes for $42, which is a lot for a plastic tube, but it's more than double the price, $85 for this. So does it produce superior performance? Does it function in any way differently from the original? That's what we want to determine today. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean one side of the record with the Delrin wand, the other with the traditional wand. We'll observe and see, just kind of experience it to see if it performs differently. We'll look at the dirt in the groove on both sides before and after the cleaning treatment. And of course, most importantly, we'll give it a listen, and then we'll let you know if there's any difference between the two, if it's worth the extra money for this. We had to pick a record, of course, to clean. If you're a longtime jazz fan, as I am, you're going to know this record, Bill Evans' Waltz for Debby. It is an absolute classic. But to maybe you younger guys out there that are just getting into jazz, this is one you want to put on your short list, if for no other reason, Scott LaFaro. He is the bassist on this record. He died tragically young, but I would argue he is one of the greatest bassists in jazz history. Just a wonderful, wonderful player. So do check it out. Let's get to it. Let's get to testing the new wand. Let's clean this record. Okay, fellas, the approach that we're going to take here to test the Delrin tube against the traditional VPI tube is to be as precise and scientific as we possibly can. I'm actually going to use a medicine dropper to apply the record cleaning fluid and the pure water so that we apply the same amount. We'll clean the brush the same way. We'll use the same brush, in this case an Osage. So hopefully that will keep things consistent and we can see which one performs better if there is any difference between them. One thing I want to mention before we get started, the Delrin tube is physically heavier than the traditional tube. We weighed them. This comes in at about 19 grams, this at 24. And also one of the selling points of the Delrin tube is that it is a more durable plastic. And that's true. This type of plastic is more durable. And guys have had these traditional tubes break. We never have, and I think the reason for that is because we like to keep them in these sort of plastic containers with a lid. These are really meant for storage of food. And the idea is that you take a large drill bit and drill several holes around the container and then use a torch-type lighter like you would use to light a cigar and melt the little sharp bits of plastic. This helps keep them dry and so that there's no mold that can form because the air can move through, and of course it keeps them safe. So we've never had one break, but I know a lot of guys out there have. So something to keep in mind if you decide not to go with the more durable plastic, the Delrin. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's clean this record and test these tubes. Okay, we're going to start off by demonstrating the proper way to insert the wand into the column. And the key here is that you don't want the slit to be perpendicular to the record. It needs to be offset just a wee bit. So you go ahead and insert, and we're going to do this both the same way. So I'll turn it just slightly to the left. Just like a millimeter or so. There you go. If I didn't mention it, these are both brand new, never before used wands. Okay. By the way, they're also identical in their physical shape. So there we go. This is a little tighter fit. Ah, perfect. Okay. Alrighty. Excellent. We're ready to go. We'll use the Delrin on side A and the traditional on side B. By the way, we've been having some interesting conversations online with our subscribers about the virtues of using a Giotto blaster over a traditional carbon fiber brush. And some really good points have been made on both sides of that argument. So much so that we're beginning to acquire some high quality carbon fiber brushes, and in a future episode we'll do a comparison between them and the Giotto blaster. But I do want to warn you, if you're using the Giotto blaster, this plastic tip is much harder than the vinyl record, so you want to be careful. You can absolutely scratch and damage the record if you let this touch it, so don't do that. First thing I want to do is blow off any dust that might be on the cork mat, so let's start there. Now side one. And just in case there's any dust or packing material that got onto the wand, we'll clean them both before using them. Wow, looks kind of cool on there, doesn't it? All right. We're going to use 3 medicine droppers full, which is about 11 or 12 milliliters. And I tested this before on another record, and it was about the right amount. Very good. And I even got a way to clean this out. Excellent. Let's prep our brush, pre-wet it. We'll try to keep the cleaning process as similar as possible. Well, it's the first time we've used it. Is there any discernible difference? I'm not sure I could tell just by the way it looked or the way it sounded, but it certainly seemed to work as it's supposed to, so I guess that's a good thing. Let's continue with our little test here by applying some pure water. Make sure all the liquid is out of there. Well, the record cleaning fluid, I should say. Again, we'll go with 3 droppers full. Doubly sure this brush is clear of any of the record cleaning fluid. All right, here we go. I'm pleased with the way it performed. It certainly did its job as expected. I'm still not sure if it's any different to the original tube. It does seem a little stiffer though. I don't know. Let's keep our eyes and ears open, and we'll see how she performs on side 2. Again, we'll clear off any debris that might be on the platter. And ditto for side 2. Obviously, we're now going to use the original clear wand. See how that performs. Same amount of record cleaning fluid. Make extra sure the brush is clean. Very interesting. Now that I've heard both, there is a little bit difference in the sound. What I'm thinking is that the Delrin tube is providing more suction. It sounds that way. I don't know if that's just the nature of the plastic, the density of that plastic. Still not 100% sure, but it did sound a little bit different. So let's continue on with the pure water rinse. Clean out our medicine dropper. Same amount of water as before. Let's go ahead and use the microscope to get us some close-up shots of both sides, see if we see any difference there. Then we'll play both sides. That'll be a joy. I love this record. And we'll see if we hear any difference. But at this point, I do think there is a difference between the tubes. Whether one is more effective than the other, that's to be determined. Let's take this over to the vinyl viewing station and get some close-ups of what's left in the groove, if anything. Okay, final thoughts and for the record. Before we get to our review of the VPI's Delrin wand, I'd like to draw your attention to the record over my shoulder. If you caught our episode last week, we were cleaning records on the Loracraft machine, wonderful machine, but we featured the records of El Paraiso, a record company that we really think very highly of. We got a whole stack in, we listened to all of them, and this is our favorite, Adena Gardens, particularly side 2. Just wonderful music. If you're going to make a purchase from El Paraiso, I recommend that you pick that one up. On to our review. The Delrin tube, is theoretically better than the traditional tube. It is definitely stiffer. It is definitely more durable. Again, theoretically, perhaps more suction power because of that stiffness of the tube. But is it worth more than twice the money? If you take care of the traditional tubes, take care not to allow them to get cracked or broken, then I'm not sure it's worth twice the amount of money. On the other hand, as those pads wear out, you need not buy a new tube. You can strip off the pads and replace them with VPI pads or aftermarket pads, such as those from the Disc Doctor, which we like quite a bit. So yeah, if it's a lifetime purchase, maybe it's worth the Delrin, but I have to say I didn't see or hear or experience a gigantic difference between the two. Don't go replacing your tubes if you have the original ones. I think they'll work just fine. As far as this record is concerned, nothing theoretical about this. This is one of the finest jazz albums in the history of music. Go buy it. If you don't have it, go buy it now. Till the next record. Loving the Edna Gardens, but you got to get this one too, guys.